Hi, Ash.
Hello, Fiona. How are you?
Hello. Good, thank you. Are you?
Yes, I'm very good. I'm excited to talk about today. So, what are we talking about today in the Yorkshire Property Podcast?
So, I want to talk to people about checking the small print.
Okay. And what do we mean by checking the small
Okay.
print?
So, that would be when they're on other websites. So, for example, you've got your Martin Lewis, you've got your Money Supermarket. They all serve a purpose. But it's just making sure that you also get independent advice as well as looking at those websites.
Okay. And so, what with that, what type of things do you see? Because obviously, this is something you were speaking to me about this off air. What do you mean by, that? What is some of the kind of scenarios you're seeing at the moment that people could take an example of?
Yeah, so a lot of clients are coming to me saying Martin Lewis has this, or I've been on Money Supermarket and I've seen this. Martin Lewis actually says himself, you should go and see an independent mortgage broker. He does advocate that. He feels quite strongly about that. But on the bottom of his website, he does say we are a journalistic website. Okay, so it's there to give you information, but not necessarily to provide you with advice specific to your requirements.
Mm-hmm.
And it does say this information does not constitute financial advice. We focus on rates, not service. Okay, so they're really important things for people to consider. There's a wealth of information on there. You've got your car insurance, you've got your gas, electricity, your mortgage, your credit cards, your loans, everything. Which is really handy to look at to get a general idea of what's going on in the market. But it's such a huge spread of different services and rates on there that I think it's really important to then come to a professional broker to discuss that in more detail, because Martin Lewis is not looking at your specific circumstances. He's giving general advice, which is really handy. And like I say, certainly serves a purpose, but it's not specific to your actual needs.
And I think that's something interesting to point out with that, because I think this is something that we're seeing with the whole economic situation that we're in, is that more and more people are looking at broad advice and thinking that's theirs. Have you, that applies to them specifically. Have you experienced it yourself where with anyone who's asked you about something Martin Lewis has said, for example? I know that I've spoken to someone recently who was about to do their fix, had spoken to a broker, done everything, and then they acted on Martin Lewis's video, which isn't Martin Lewis's fault. But Martin Lewis said, we recommend, whatever, ride the variable or whatever. And instantly he actually lost 4 clients who took the advice of someone on TV over the actual tailored advice to what they were actually their situation. Are you seeing this happen at the moment yourself as well?
Yeah, I think what I've seen is people have maybe taken that advice and then thought about it for 3 months and thought, actually, is this the right thing to do? Maybe I should go speak to a broker. And then when we've looked at it, actually, it might have been better to do something a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
So I am seeing that. Separate to Martin Lewis, I am seeing issues with some of the comparison sites that clients go on, because that's huge. I'm always being told, how can you not offer this rate? Can you not offer this rate? But when you actually look at it, there's small print involved with those rates. They're not exactly what the clients think they are. And I said to you earlier, I've been on Money Supermarket this morning, and the headline on there is telling you about a huge saving that you could have if you go from standard variable rate to fixed rate. The details are correct as of the 1st of June 2022. Well, I cannot tell you how different things are since then. So if clients are reading things like that, you need to have this all backed up by a qualified mortgage broker. We are qualified. We have our CMAP qualifications, and we're qualified to give advice on mortgages, and look at your specific needs and requirements relevant today. not 6 months ago as well. So I think it's important to use these sites, get a general idea of what's going on, but then go to the broker, the expert.
I think that shows as well, as you say, your sourcing systems are very, I know from working with brokers and stuff, that your sourcing systems are very, and being a broker myself previously, your sourcing systems are accurate to the minute. It is what you see is what is available at that current time. And as you say, a lot of these sites, they're using like API plugins, and they have an update every week or every month, and as you say, they can cover themselves. So I think sometimes a lot of things are looking attractive at first glance, but they ultimately don't even exist anymore. And especially with the market changing the way it is, you can't really risk it. I mean, how detrimental could it be? Obviously, not every situation is different, but how detrimental could it be to somebody's desired outcome if they leave it for 2 months? What would that look like? Could look, obviously not financially, but what could happen with that?
Well, based on what's happened over the previous even month, there's been such a difference. I was actually looking at an email that I sent to a client at the end of September, and he's been in contact again now. We've had a look at the market again now, and the rates are over 1% higher than the original ones that we looked at for him. So the important thing is, let's get this nailed. And like you say, we get updates from lenders saying at 8 o'clock tonight, we're refreshing our interest rates.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh gosh, right, okay, we need to get this and we need to get this application, we need to do this. And, if you're sorting out your own mortgage, you might have your mortgage in principle. That doesn't necessarily lock in your rates. And you're not going to know if lenders are going to increase their rates at 8 o'clock that night. We get this information from most lenders most of the time, and we can act on that quickly. Yeah, I know, because it should say we're reducing or we're increasing our rates. And if it's reducing, it's like, oh right, well, let's see what happens tomorrow then. But if it's increasing, right, we need to get these applications in right now. It's really important.
And I can imagine as well on the small print with that, and you talk about agreement in principle. I just wanted to ask you this question because it's, and I'm sure your listeners and people watching will want to know this as well, because your agreement in principle, from my understanding, is taken from the snapshot of that rate and the stress test of what that is at that current point in time, as opposed to, and I think we might have lost you, just to see if we have or not, but I think as opposed to it being linked to the value right now. So they stress test it. I think that maybe internet connection's gone, which is fine. We will continue on. And then when Fiona comes back, we can ask her those questions that you all want to know the answer to. And if not, we will end the episode here, which is pretty good anyway, because she's given us a ton of value. In fact, we'll end the episode here and go from there. So thank you for listening to the Yorkshire Property Podcast, and we'll see you in the next one.